You see, my child, there are stories you hear and you laugh, and there are stories you hear and your heart skips because something deep inside you knows it is not just a story. What I'm about to tell you happened in this very village, Umudike. And no matter what the others say, I will tell it exactly the way I remember it. It was the Hamatan season. The dust was hanging in the air like the ancestors hadn't yet decided what to do with us. That morning, I was sweeping the front of my compound when my cousin's daughter, Ngozi, came running through the path that cuts between my house and the palm grove. She was panting like someone who had seen a masquerade without wearing white chalk. "Mama Ijoma!" she shouted. "Mama Ijoma, come and see something." I dropped my broom. "What is it?" She handed me a white envelope. Clean, fine envelope with golden patterns, the kind that wealthy people use for their weddings in the city. I opened it slowly. It was an invitation card. I still remember the words like they are carved in my head. "You are cordially invited to the union of Ndugwizi and Amaka, taking place at the Holy Land Parish, Umudike, on Saturday, the 14th of January at 10 a.m. I looked at Ngozi. "Who gave you this?" She looked confused. "It was in the compound, on the doorstep. No one was there." Now my blood ran cold, not because of the invitation, but because Ndugwisi was my younger brother's only son, and he had died 2 years ago in a motor accident on the Enugu-Onitsha road. And Amaka. Amaka was the girl he was to marry. She left the village after his burial, heartbroken. The poor girl couldn't even look at his photo before she left. None of us had heard from her since. So, how can a dead boy be getting married? I looked at the date. It was next Saturday. That was 7 days away. I took the invitation and walked to my brother's house. He was sitting outside drinking pap under the mango tree. I handed it to him. He read it slowly, then stood up. "Where did you get this?" We sat down and talked. He hadn't heard from Amaka either. The last time someone mentioned her name was when her cousin said she had moved to Oka to start over. It was still something about that invitation felt real, too real. The card was warm in the hand. The ink didn't smudge. It was hand-delivered, not posted, not from a courier. Who dropped it? That night, I didn't sleep well. I kept hearing the sound of church bells, but no one rang any bell in the village that night. By morning, more invitations had surfaced. 5, then 12. By Wednesday, 24 villagers had received the same card, same names, same church, same time. Nobody knew where they were coming from. No one had seen the messenger. The cards just appeared on doorsteps, in yams baskets, under pillows. And the strangest part, the people who received them were all guests at Ndugwizi's funeral. I called the meeting in the village square. Even though I'm old, the elders still listen when I speak. "Let us not joke with this thing," I said. "It is not every invitation that you answer. But human beings have curiosity bigger than a calabash." Some of them laughed. Some said it was a prank. Maybe Amaka was finally moving on and wanted to do something symbolic. But I saw it in their eyes. Even those laughing were afraid. Saturday came. I told myself I wouldn't go. But just before 10, my feet moved on their own. I tied my best wrapper and went to the Holy Land Parish, same church where we buried Ndugwisi. The compound was unusually quiet. Hamatan still sat like dust on Judgment Day. I wasn't the only one. Others who got the invitation were also there. 24 of us. No priest, no crowd, no decoration. Just the church door slightly open. Something told me not to enter. But one woman, Mama Ebuka, she stepped in. Then another and another. I stepped back. Then it happened. From inside the church, we heard a song. A soft choir humming something like a wedding hymn, but slow, very slow. as if time itself was crawling. Then footsteps, then a bell rang, then silence. We waited. 5 minutes, 10. Nobody came out. I called out, "Mama Ebuka!" No answer. I shouted again. Nothing. One man ran to the window and peeped inside. What he saw made him faint. We rushed to him. He was shivering. They are sitting there, all 23 of them, dressed in white, but their eyes are gone. The priest was called. He refused to enter. Instead, they called in the vigilante. They went in with cutlasses. They came out sweating and confused. "No one is there," they said. Empty pews, dust everywhere. But our people never came out. The next morning, the church was locked. A notice was nailed to the door, closed until further notice. Do not open. Do not answer invitations not meant for the living. And from that day, no one has seen Mama Ebuka or the others. Only their homes remain, as if they left to buy onions and never returned. Now, people don't joke with invitations in Umudike. We ask questions first. We light candles. We check names. We pray. Because sometimes, my child, not every wedding is meant for the living, and not every invitation is a blessing. Curiosity can open doors that were never meant to be opened. In our world, some events are not celebrations, they are summons.